Your grandma didn't need a PhD to know that garlic knocks out a cold or that a hot bath with some Epsom salts is a healing ritual. For generations, Black and Indigenous folks have practiced holistic healing without ever using the word wellness. We had herbs, oils, roots, rituals, and remedies that kept our bodies strong and our spirits aligned before colonizers even figured out what a thermometer was. And because the world didn't see our practices as valid, many of us stopped trusting what we knew. And that, fam, is where the decolonizing work begins. We have to start reclaiming our birthright to heal. What's up, family, and welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Wellness Podcast, where we talk health, healing, and whole self-wellness with seasoning, not saltlessness. I'm your host, Cori, and baby, today we are getting into it. We are talking about something the ancestors already knew. Your grandma's remedies, still that girl. We're diving into what it means to decolonize wellness and why those homegrown healing traditions that you grew up on, that I grew up on, deserve a front row seat, not just a quick shout out when we get sick. So go ahead and grab your tea, your journal, maybe even a piece of ginger root if it's nearby, because this one's going to make you feel seen and called home at the same time. But before we begin, family, just like we bless our food before we eat, we bless this moment before we speak. Let us take our 30 seconds of gratitude and root ourselves. I have gratitude for the grandmothers who whispered wisdom into pots of collard greens. Gratitude for the peppermint oils, the moonlight prayers, the warm towels across our foreheads, and the quiet strength that raised us. Gratitude for every lesson that wasn't written down, but still lives in our blood. I know that was more than 30 seconds. It always is. But you know how I feel. When you stop and honor what's already good, you make space for even more abundance. All right, let me step off my soapbox before I fall in my feelings, y'all. So let's start here. What even is decolonizing wellness? So somewhere along the way, we were told that wellness only lives in whole food aisles. Green juices that cost $12. Y'all, that price, you know what? Anyway. And yoga studios that play ocean sounds and call it therapy. But what about that castor oil in your grandma's cabinet? Or that onion sock remedy that she swore by? The teas, the poultices, the prayer cloths? That is wellness. That was medicine. And it still is. Wellness, our wellness, started on porches, in prayer circles, in kitchens with one pot and a whole lot of love. Your grandma didn't need a PhD to know that garlic knocks out a cold or that a hot bath with some Epsom salts is a healing ritual. For generations, Black and Indigenous folks have practiced holistic healing without ever using the word wellness. We had herbs, oils, roots, rituals, and remedies that kept our bodies strong and our spirits aligned before colonizers even figured out what a thermometer was. And because the world didn't see our practices as valid, many of us stopped trusting what we knew. And that, fam, is where the decolonizing work begins. We have to start reclaiming our birthright to heal. Because let's be real, we've been conditioned to believe that only Western approved, lab tested, double-blind study certified methods are valid. But before the lab, there was the land. And before the prescription, there was intuition, tradition, and the cultural knowledge passed down in whispers and rituals. Now, that doesn't mean that we are throwing science out the window. We love a licensed therapist. We love a good supplement with verified ingredients. But what we don't do is pretend like our ancestors didn't already hand us a playbook. So today, I'm going to walk you through the real history of herbal medicine and Black healing traditions, how colonization disconnected us from our roots, and practical ways to bring back that ancestral healing into our modern lives. And it's funny because when I think about the movie Sinners, I know that that was a few months ago, but I'm hoping by now that everyone has seen it. And if you saw the scene where Annie was practicing her ancestral herbal traditions, like that hit home for me in so many ways. It just, oh my goodness, it just hit me. And so, Ryan Coogler for that, he gets a salute because that was absolutely genius to weave that part of our ancestral history into a movie like that. Like, yeah, we ain't gonna talk about Sinners today though, y'all, because that's a whole different conversation. And of course, I'm going to share a few of my own go-to remedies from my grandmama, my mama, and a few that I put my own twist on. Spoiler alert. Most of them are in my teas. And like y'all should know that by now, if you follow me on socials, you've seen that. But more on that later. So let's talk about some remedies that still slap, as the young kids will say. Now, I unpacked many of our ancestral practices using herbs and the like during my Medicine in Black series that I did on the show during Black History Month last season. So if you haven't heard those episodes, you should definitely check those out, okay? Now, our grandmothers, aunties, and mamas knew what they were doing when they would give us things like castor oil packs for inflammation and cramps. Big Mama been knew about that detoxification, along with things like black cohosh, red raspberry leaf, and skullcap. Those things invaluable when it comes to some cramping. Turmeric and black pepper in milk. So before it was a latte, golden milk is what that remedy is called. It was a remedy in East African and South Asian homes, and it is amazing for inflammation and the immune system. So the next time you start to feel a little bit under the weather, go hook you up some golden milk. Onion slices in the socks for fever. Listen, y'all, I know it ain't cute, but it works. I can remember that as a child. I remember having onion hanged in the doorway of my bedroom when I caught the flu. I remember I was 12 years old and I was so sick that I was having hallucinations. And baby, when I tell you that them onions and potato peels on the bottoms of my feet in some socks help put that fever right on out. Again, it wasn't cute, but it definitely works. And let's not ever forget prayer and touch. Don't play. Laying hands. And we ain't talking about putting a pause on somebody right now, y'all, okay? We are talking about the laying hands on the body. That was the original energy healing. It is the modern day version of this is often been renamed as Reiki healing. Y'all. Listen, these things are rooted so deeply in our ancestral history, and many of us don't know because it was hidden from us and they tried to erase and forget all about it. Mullein, for example, is amazing for coughs. So is elderberry. So is wild licorice root. Y'all, listen, those are just a few of my go-tos that I currently have in my own apothecary. And when my family gets to not feeling good, the first question is, okay, Mom, what you got? And I am so grateful because those were passed down to me from my ancestors. Now, science is playing catch up right now, talking about oh wow, these actually help regulate hormones and inflammation and pain. We've been told y'all, but y'all ain't want to listen. All right, now, really quick, family. This episode is being brought to you by my own tea shop. The name of the tea shop is Soulful Herb Treasures, and it is on Buy Me Coffee. Listen, sometimes the most powerful act of self-care is a warm cup of mind your business. That's where my tea blends come in. So if stress and anxiety is trying you, you can grab my unbothered blend. Or if you want to get some deeper sleep, snag the resting rich face blend to have you waking up grog free and glowing. You hear me? And for my sisters who are dealing with cramps and chaos and PMS, pour yourself a big cup of that time of the Yeah, you heard exactly what I said. These are not just tea blends, though. There are recipes passed down and reimagined for our modern lives. So go ahead and hit up Soulful Herb Treasures and sip your way back to balance. The link is in the show notes. Now let's jump back into this episode. Now let me explain to you why this matters so much for us. Decolonizing wellness isn't just about what you do. It's about reclaiming what was taken, right? And when we reconnect to these traditions, we honor our lineage and we stop outsourcing our health to systems that were never built for us in the first place. We all know that, wellness was definitely not made for us, although our physical bodies played such a huge impact in modern wellness. But again, that is a whole nother topic. And I got into that a lot in the Medicine in Black series. So again, I will link that in the show notes and also in the description box for those watching this on YouTube. It's a whole vibe of, I trust my intuition. I'm trusting my body. And I trust my grandma's coconut oils. Okay. All right. So here's what I want you to do this week. Ask a family elder about a remedy that they used growing up or were taught about. Ask about those because that knowledge is knowledge that you must pay forward. Okay? Try one of the remedies yourself, maybe an herbal steam or the golden milk I was talking about. Amazing, amazing benefits for your body, and the knowledge will rest within you. And reflect on where you may have unconsciously traded ancestral knowledge for someone else's definition of healthy. I've had to sit back and do that so much, especially having been someone that's been in the health and wellness field for so long. I definitely had to check myself. And more importantly, I want you to document what you learn. Our ancestors were unable to do that. They were relying on songs, memories, and whispers. So now that we can document the true origination of our heritage to pass it on to the generation after us so that it will never be lost or forgotten. Okay? All right, family, that is it for today. And if this episode stirred something up in you, share it with your crew. Talk to your elders and ask your folks what they used when babies had colic or when somebody caught the change of the weather. And those of you who are Southern or have Southern roots, y'all know exactly. Y'all have heard that. That knowledge is priceless to us, family. Remember that our roots are part of our wellness. And you don't have to choose between tradition and science. You don't. There's room for both. But do not let colonized systems gaslight you out of the medicine that you were born into inherently. You're not starting from scratch. You are just picking up where your people left off. So until next time, family, drink your tea, say your prayers, stretch your body, and love yourself like your grandma would have wanted you to. Peace, love, and peppermint leaves, family.